for the people who are struggling and they're maybe a few years behind and they're just starting out and they don't really see a path forward. You and I have been very fortunate in the last few months as far as our pretty big leaps in getting to that next level, getting projects set up on your end, getting interest from big, high rollers, players in the industry. So for someone who, and we were both there, for someone who was just starting out, couldn't really see the light at the end of the tunnel, what was it that even kept you in it? And do you have advice for those people?
Huh, a great question. And by the way, someone brought up to me today, they go, like, how does someone that I know get an agent or a manager? They asked that.
Who was it? Like, I don't need a name, but who was this person to you? Just like
Friend,
interesting.
girl they're dating, is like coming up. And it's so wild. Like, so what, how did
That was you. That was me.
oh yeah. Uh,
I still don't have the reps, but on my end, I need to like produce entire features, sell them for a profit, and then the reps come. It's a
yeah,
different.
it's a little different for like writer director than an actor, obviously. But yeah, I mean, 'cause they brought up, they were like, yeah, the person that I'm talking about like submits themselves for audition. Like I had a commercial audition today and they asked like, they're like, are you going on did you submit yourself for that? And I'm like, I never submit myself for auditions or whatever. I wouldn't go on an audition that I submitted myself. Like it's just, you're not going to get looked at.
You're like, offer only, offer only. That's gonna be
I
you in
mean,
like a year.
yeah, don't you know my MO is offer only. Read the fine print. That's why I don't get much. It's because
Because
for that.
you're offer only. But Duke, it's just one audition, offer only, offer. But Duke, it's this massive film with Martin Scorsese, offer only.
If they care enough, they'll watch my Lifetime movie. They'll know what I'm all about. Um, anyway, what kept me going? As you know, it was always like throwing spaghetti at the wall, seeing what sticks. It, I just kept trying things, making little goals and saying, okay, now I'm gonna things knowing and looking for like positivity, self-help stuff, knowing that like things don't have to be perfect or how you fantasized for to to keep going. Just keep trying to get the result that you want.
Mhm.
And then uh well, and eventually stuff started falling into place in ways that I didn't expect. And then you have timelines. Like as you know, we had a big thing on this show for a while, 6 month period at least, where I was like, dude, I think I'm giving myself like a couple more months. And then I'm gonna get like a more mainstream career and I'm gonna put show business stuff on the back burner. But I'm like gonna still
Management,
continue. I don't have to
what
quit. But
that is.
what?
Wealth management.
Yeah. 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 And because I was like,
Bro, you
I
need someone managing your wealth. It's not the other way around.
damn straight, bro. Damn straight. I mean, it's easy to say that even now. The funny thing is, like, people are like, dude, how were you even thinking that? But um, I think it's healthy to get into a very unpredictable industry, knowing that, hey, I'm gonna give myself a year to do this. I'm gonna give myself 2 because I do think there's some people that stay in it too long that have no signals that they should continue pursuing it.
I
Um,
disagree.
I know it's like romantic to say otherwise, but I
Bro, it's
think
not
it
even romantic. It's like your life. Like if for whatever reason you want to do it, but signals are telling you no, like fucking what's his name? Who's the guy in that Shawshank Redemption?
Morgan
Morgan
Freeman.
Freeman. Morgan Freeman didn't make it till he was like 55. Signals pointed to him.
But first of all, he's the exception. Like he's the one out of every 10 million.
If
Secondly,
it was one more audition, one more role, you never know.
I think for a lot of people, that it's underrated to like you don't necessarily need to make your passion your career.
Good job.
I think sometimes it's good to keep it as a hobby and make money, have a kind of cool life,
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
stability, and then do it. Now, that's easy for me to say. A lot of people are miserable in their predictable lives. But I just think something that was smart, honestly, for me, it was just evaluating and giving yourself a option so that because at one point when I was really young, when I was like 22, 23, and I was like psyched out of acting, I was psyched out of all of it, and I did feel committed to it. I felt really committed to it. It was like my identity. I felt like trapped because I was like, fuck, I'm horrible at this. I'm so like scared by it even, and it's all I got.
Mm,
What the
mhm.
fuck? So to kind of just have some breathing room and
I was in a very similar place when I was 22, 23. As far as this is my identity. Probably lasted till like 24, 25. But that was me.
yeah, probably similar to me as well. Um, and that's it, man, because there's a lot of shit that we went through when we were starting out, like me working in the car dealership, and it was kind of gnarly and stuff like that.
I don't know
That
if you told me that. That's crazy.
yeah, like me working in the car, it was tough every day, and there was stuff that like I couldn't define myself by it, and I had to work hard mentally to like make a game out of it positively, and just to like know that like, hey. It's not kind of like in the movies necessarily where they're like, oh, like Tick Tick Boom or something, where it's like, oh, everyone's together working at a little coffee shop and it's fun. We're all actors, La La Land. Doo, 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 doo. It was like I was at this fucking dead end place. No one else was actors. Everyone was trying to figure out why I was there. It was really awkward. It was really long hours. And you start to feel like the dream is not possible at all. I didn't really know anyone.
That's
I wasn't in good acting classes. It was fucked. And so
dude, I had no idea. I don't think you ever told me that.
I might have, but with that, I got a lot of, in retrospect, it was a great thing for me. I got
Yeah.
a lot of great
How long did
material
you
out of
work
it,
there?
like 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Sold some cars.
The long 6 months.
Dude, it was gnarly. It was just like, it was one of those things where I would go and I was really getting into like positivity, like reading a lot, just trying to get mentally as tough as possible. Because every day there was emotionally toxic people working there that would just like it was a joke how horrible they were to everyone. And like they would just burst freaking out every day at you. Like, and you couldn't win. If you try to get them back, they would like people would take me aside and be like, dude, don't even don't even try to like reason with them because that's just their thing. You got to just give it to them.
Yeah.
And people were like doing drugs on the job and stuff, and like it was just gnarly, dude. It was like 7 a.m. to or like 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. I think were the work hours.
Fuck.
And
That is a long day.
I had to commute an hour there, an hour back. And like and you're kind of on your feet the whole time too. You can't really chill. And so bottom line, I had to tell myself all these positive things to myself to like to really not get down, dude. Like, and I grew a lot from that. I think those muscles,
Yeah.
those positive habits kind of helped me afterwards. And I got so much good material from it. Like I would write about all the funny things that happened because so many ridiculous things happened.
Dude, I've got so much respect for you hearing.
Thanks.
I didn't before, but now I do.
Yeah, yeah,
It's-
no,
Dude,
no,
it's
no, no.
that's fucking crazy. From the first time that I met you, it's a kind of really positive energy that's genuine that comes out of you. And
Appreciate
you
it.
know, I can imagine being in a place like that, like mismatched like that.
Yeah,
You don't belong in that environment. And I could see people being like, Duke, like what the fuck are
yeah,
you doing here? Like you
yeah.
just don't fit. It's just not where you're supposed to be. But
People were like, are you like? They're like, dude, don't. they're like, Duke, don't get stuck here. What are you doing? Like, he's like, I have things that I love in life. Like, why are you doing? And I'm like, rest assured, I'm not, not trying to get stuck here. I really don't plan on being here for much longer, but don't worry about it. No one ever really asked what I did outside, and no one
Right.
really,
And they probably didn't care.
yeah, they
That's
didn't care.
like, yeah.
Everyone
Uh,
was fucked up all the time.
I spent 5 months at a talent agency at like a mid-tier innovative artist, and it probably wasn't. I mean, hearing that, it's definitely.
Innovative artist is not that small, by the way, too.
Oh, I mean, maybe like number
You'd be
seven.
down to get repped by him, wouldn't you?
It's a good question. They don't really rep. They don't really have lit. It's like all talent. But
Kind of considered prestigious, I feel like.
you
Anyway,
think
yeah.
it's. I mean, it's better than most places for sure. But definitely not as dark as like people doing drugs and shit and that long of hours. But yeah, about an hour commute to Santa Monica, and it, the attitude, the dullness, like if you go into innovative, it's just like dark and there's like no lights, and the toxicity from the agents, that like an agent would chew me out in his office like multiple days. You know, it's like these first early jobs, though. I think the biggest thing they do for you is first show like you have the resilience to push through it, and also that it's like the clarity of this is not going to be my life. Like as in like I cannot physically remain here. I need to do something else. You
Wait,
know,
let's hear a little bit more about that, by the way, because I actually haven't heard much about that either.
I feel like both of us have kept the
Yeah,
first job a little close to the chest. And
yeah,
also, and I was like 22, 23. So as you were like slaving away at this fucking car dealership, I was busting my ass at innovative. We were both
totally.
equally miserable, you know?
First of all, I've had a bunch of horrible jobs, but
Oh,
and
really?
I think you have too. But was first of all, that's not an easy job to get, probably working at Innovative.
Well, I mean, I got in the mailroom, and like you think it's prestigious, but it's not. I mean, anyone who like applies to be in the mailroom at Innovative, like you can pretty much get in there. It was like
Oh,
16 dollars an hour, and I there was a car that we had
straight
to.
out of college?
This was right when I graduated. So I graduated in like May, and I think I started in May. It was like 3 weeks after I graduated.
And what was your mindset finishing college? You were done with acting.
Done with
When did you
acting.
know you were not going to pursue acting? Like what year of college?
Probably my junior year when I came out to LA. And I was like auditioning and I was like, fuck this. I hate this.
Oh, I didn't know you were auditioning.
Yeah. But I went, there was this like really cringe Levi jeans commercial that was fucking off. Like they had us like sit in a chair and like pretend like we're driving, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, dude, I the
That sounds
reason
kind of fun. What's so bad about
I'm sure you'd have a great time. You fucking kill that shit. But I was like, what am I doing? Like this is not me. But
Okay.
yeah, so I came out to LA, and my parents were like, "Hey, like stay with us for the summer like in Pennsylvania." And I was like, "No, like I got to get there. I got to get to LA." Because of that, it was kind of on me to like make money and figure my shit out. So I felt this pressure of like I need in order to survive, I need to get a job in entertainment. And so I got this thing after scrambling around for like 3 weeks. But I remember, bro, there was this car that I had to drive around places to like pick up people's shit and like bring it in. And I scraped like there first of all, we had to pay for a parking spot that was 15-minute walk away from the agency. Out of the $16 an hour that we had to pay for this monthly parking spot that was just shit. They had a parking spot underneath the agency, but it was really tight like quarters, so you couldn't turn at all. There was this like shitty car that I had to drive, and it was next to like the Ferrari that the guy who owns the company like just kept there. Like he had like a couple Ferraris down there, and I'm like, this is completely different from what I'm experiencing right now. So like I one day I drove the thing in and it was always so hard to fucking turn. And this car didn't have like a back camera, so you couldn't. And bro, I scraped the shit out of like the side of this shitty car as I was coming in there, and I just heard it like, "Grr," and I stopped and I backed up again. It was, "Grr," and I was like, fuck. And I thought I'd be fired from this shitty job, which would probably be fine, but like I was freaked the fuck out. And luckily, like it ended up being fine. The guy was chill. The head of the mailroom. But yeah, dude, I just remember like the goal was to get out of the mailroom, but as soon as I was floating on desks, I'm like, I'm really bad at this. Like the micromanagey, like officey, like submitting actors for auditions and like that's not how my brain works. And I got chewed out a few times from this one agent who will at this point remain unnamed, but bro, that guy is just like the thing is they can prey on these kids that are their assistants because it's a constant revolving door of like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed 20-year-olds who are just eager to please. And he knew that we would be out of there in like 6 months or whatever. So it doesn't matter how they treat you. Um, so yeah, bro, that was me for like 5 months.
And what'd you do to stay positive and stuff?
Damn, bro. I mean, I feel like it got kind of dark, but I think for me it was like it was just the optimism of like I know I can do better. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do in entertainment. But probably like watching movies, constantly getting back to I was still enamored with LA at that point. So I would like actually at lunches, I only had it took me like a half hour to walk. I had an hour lunch. It took me like a half hour to walk to the beach, but I would do that. Or 25 minutes. So I would do that, and then I would have like 8 minutes to look out at the water, and I would just do that and then I would walk back the 25 minutes. And that for me was like the bright spot, you know?
I totally get that. It's funny.
Yeah.
And then you started hitting your stride making stuff.
Well, then I went to Blumhouse and I still wasn't making stuff. And even at Blumhouse, I was like, I'm in the horror thing and I'm supposed to really be doing it, but I wasn't doing it. So it was only after I left Blumhouse that I started making shorts. I remembered that I loved doing that as a kid, and then it just kind of took off.
Isn't it funny you have all these like preconceived ideas about like, hey, I'm gonna get that and then I'll like have made it and then that's it and then it doesn't end up being that way.
100% never does, bro. But you learn something with everything, and it does bring you closer because then you can really reevaluate for like, oh, this is actually how it is. That's how it is for everyone.
It brings you close. Yeah. And some stuff kind of nails it. My job teaching pickleball right now is pretty tip top for like what could have been, like
Yeah.
it's been it nailed it.
And dude, I could say the same thing now about like teaching film to high schoolers. It's like super fucking chill. Like I can be doing my own thing and talking, it's and they're funny, and it's like, you know,
Then
where we
everything
are now compared to like us that miserable fucks at like 22, 23. It's
yeah,
really cool, man. It's really cool.
it is really cool.
The Rock says he always thinks about where he came from. Like his production company is called $7 because he remembers when he was almost homeless. He looked in his pocket, he had $7 in there, and it's like
Love
it
it.
is important to remember where you came from.
You got to look back. I have a few distinct memories in my mind that were super important. I remember a big one I think back on is when I was in the car with my dad and we were driving. I couldn't find a good acting class and I just didn't know what I was doing. I was psyched out. It was like a craft thing. Like I felt like I could amount to so much, but I felt like I just wasn't doing it and I almost called it in. I was like, smart people would have called it in. They're like, just because I feel like I could amount to something doesn't mean I should. And sometimes you got to count your losses and you just stop. And I remember I told my dad, I'm like, it just isn't working. I don't think it's coming together. I don't see how it could. And he's like, what? So you think that's it? You're gonna give up? He's like, no, you gotta be strong. I forget exactly what he said, but he kind of like, it's one of those just scary conversations though, where I felt like it was like admitting it to myself too. I was just like, oh my gosh. And so I look from there to now and just even feeling confident in my abilities and stuff. And I'm so
Yeah.
thankful. Yeah.
Dude, we make those 22-year-olds proud. And that's the biggest thing. I think pride is bro, it's such a huge thing in yourself, like that's earned. I don't think there's like any better feeling than that when you really put in the work and you see where you came from and you know that you'd make that kid version of yourself proud,
Damn straight. Yeah, 100%.
bro.
Good point.
Real talk, dude. This is a fucking banger, bro.
It is low-key a banger of a pod. You
Dude,
started off with a good question.
bro, I'm glad we didn't kick it to tomorrow. I'm glad we got this in.
Good point. Me too, man. So I didn't watch the movie that you recommended this week.
Motherfucker. That's your
Motherfucker.
assignment this week. You know what though, bro? I didn't watch it either. So this week, bro, you remember what it was, right?
I think you texted it to me, right?
I don't know. It's The
I'll look.
Invitation 2015. I'll
Okay, the
text you right
invitation.
now.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm in. I'm in.
Take us out.
All right, boyo.
All right.
Great
Till
stuff.
next week, dude. Good
Till
seeing you.
next week, brother. So fun. You too.
Keep it up. Bye.